What is going on, Q2C? How are we doing on this fine Friday afternoon? In a Q2C VR Gamer Live special, I would like to welcome you guys to a live special. We're going to do something a little bit different for us. We're going to do not our Thursday night normal. We're going to do a Friday afternoon developer interview with some people from Cloudhead Games to talk about number one, PistolWhip, as you can see in the background. But we're going to talk a little bit about the company and maybe some other things, and it's going to be amazing. We've got some incredible people here for you to talk to, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see everybody in here asking questions and seeing what we have lined up. It's going to be super interesting. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I'm so happy that we're finally able to do it with everybody here. So let's bring in Nick. What's going on, Nick?
What is going on, Eric? How are you doing this fine afternoon?
Doing good, man. We're in upstate New York. It is a crappy, rainy day here in upstate New York, but I feel like
from the background here, it is incredibly sunny.
Yeah, look at you. You're just making me feel bad. It's like cold and rainy and crappy here in upstate New York, but I feel like I'm so excited to do this. I feel like it's 100 degrees outside and sunny. I'm at a beach somewhere. That's how I feel.
Nice.
So let's not let our guests wait too long in the background.
Absolutely.
We're gonna bring in Heath, Anthony, and Ashley from Cloudhead Games. And there you guys are. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Nice to have y'all on.
Thanks for having us. Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, we'll start with Heath next to Nick. Heath, how are you doing? And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Cloudhead?
Yeah, certainly. I'm Heath. I'm the UI senior programmer for Cloudhead for PistolWhip, and so all the things that you everything except what you would do in gameplay is stuff that sort of falls under my supervision. All the buttons and the screens and the various UI elements and those kind of things you to get to where you want to be in the game. That's sort of what I do.
Which is a huge thing now, especially with the menu and all the modifiers and there's so many different things that you can now do in that menu, right? It's crazy, but it's so intuitive still, the way you do it. It's an amazing job.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, absolutely. They saw a need for sort of a specific UI department after when we started to work on the concierge thing with all the styles and everything. So that's why I was brought on board. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll say hi to Anthony down below. Anthony, how you doing today, man?
Howdy. Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. Super awesome to be here. And I guess my job at Cloudhead, I'm a writer and designer. So more than half the maps in the game I've kind of done the mapping for, and all the writing with some help from people like Ashley, especially on Smoke and Thunder. Actually, she helped with the Smoke and Thunder campaign, with the 2089 campaign as well, and then all the other text in the game. I handle that, all the modifier names and scene names and things like that, all the scene descriptions, stuff like that.
Wow, so you do quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's not a full adventure game, but there's some writing in there to do for sure, especially with the action packs.
Well, yeah. It's not as simple as just a walking simulator. There's plenty to do in PistolWhip, and we've got plenty to talk about.
A little bit different than a walking. Yeah, a little bit different than a walking simulator. Yeah. So next we'll say hi to Ashley. Raya, Ashley, how are you doing?
I am doing well. So nice to be here. Thank you so much for having us, as the others have said. I am the social media and community relations specialist for Cloudhead Games and PistolWhip. So I kind of do, if you reach out to us anywhere kind of on Twitter or Instagram, or if you have a ticket and you email support or info or message us on Facebook, you're probably talking to me. And so I kind of also do the patch notes and the forward-facing stuff. And then I also help a little bit with like the back end stuff. I do some of the challenges, some narrative, and of course, Anthony's being really humble and modest. Everybody kind of wears like 100 hats because we're such a small studio. So they are always helping in my department with all sorts of stuff. And there's a lot of writing. There's menus and scene descriptions and patch notes and all sorts of stuff that Anthony has to have a look at. So that's what I do.
So there's quite a few unsung heroes behind the scenes with all this.
Yes, it takes a village. It really does.
Well, yeah, heck yeah. I mean,
Certainly.
that's what it is. It's you guys are not a huge studio, so it's amazing the amount of work that goes into these games. And then if you have a small studio, everybody kind of has to do a lot of different things, right? You can't just have one person do one thing, just because there's just so much work to do on these games, right?
Yeah, the more I learn about making games, the more I'm just like, I don't understand how we ever release anything at all, because it's so much investment, so many people, and just so much passion, and so many deadlines, and so many assets, and there's a lot of people just very steadily working behind the scenes to make everything happen. So yeah,
and they have been doing that now for 2 years, and it is y'all's 2-year anniversary. So congratulations on that, everybody. That is amazing to see that. So big shout out to you guys. Congratulations. Yeah, 2 years, man.
I can't believe it's been 2 years already, right? I mean, it seems like it came out like 6 months ago.
Keeping it fresh with updates has been really helpful, and yeah, it's been cool to see even player counts go up and people continuing to stay engaged with the game and all the new content. So,
oh yeah, no, and I mean it's amazing the way that you guys have continued to build on this game and keep it relevant, right? So it's not like you put the game out. Here's a fantastic game. Here it is, and you could have just said, here it is. It's a great game, and never have to touch it ever again. That's not what you guys did. You were like, let's just keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it for free. Number one, and then and so you just keep adding these, more music and more songs and more levels, and then you come out with dropping a huge bomb with the campaign, which it's one of my favorite parts of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
really awesome.
the campaign was super interesting because nobody really was necessarily asking for something like that. We didn't it didn't fall off the truck the way some stuff did, right? We kind of had an ambition. We had the kind of the story chops from the gallery, and we were like, okay, let's try to apply this in some way to PistolWhip, and it turned out really, really well, and people connected with it.
Yeah.
You mentioned the gallery there. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about that? Tell us a little bit about before PistolWhip, some of the history on Cloudhead. Give our audience a little bit of background on you guys.
Sure, yeah. So we started as a studio in 2013. Danny Younger, our CEO, was kind of a garage hacker working in the VR movement at the time, and I kind of met Palmer Luckey in the forums, and had made a good connection with him, and actually ended up with one of the very first Oculus Rift prototypes, and was building for VR very, very early, one of the very first VR developers. And they were working on a project at the time called The Gallery, which was an adventure game, kind of like in the style of Myst, like old 90s point-and-click adventure game, but in VR, where you can use your hands and move around in a physical space. They worked on trying to figure out how to develop a game like that. It's again one of the first games in VR, so you have to learn how to make a game all over again. And they spent some time on that, and by the time consumer VR launched in 2016, then we launched our first title, The Gallery, called a Starseed, which went really well. It was like a top 10 title at the launch of VR. People really, really liked it. It ended up getting bundled with the Vive, which at the time was the kind of the top headset.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, that was very cool, getting bundled with the Vive. So it was a lot of people's first VR experiences, and I think it's held up pretty well. And you see some lineage in modern adventure games. Honestly, some of the stuff you see in Half-Life Alyx, you kind of see in the Gallery first. Obviously, not all of it. Valve's an incredible team, and they're doing a lot of stuff there. But there's definitely some kind of influence, I think, that the Gallery's had on the industry before we moved on to PistolWhip.
Still two of the most beautiful PC VR games you will find today. And those games, what was the year they came out? The first Gallery came out?
Yeah, 2016 and 2017.
I mean, if you were into PC VR, go get the Gallery 1 and Gallery 2. They're jaw-droppingly beautiful, these games, and they still stand up to today's games, brand new games.
And they were solving a lot of problems back then with these games that had never been solved before in VR. The idea of how to have an inventory in virtual reality had never been solved. The backpack solution was really kind of first seen in the Gallery as a way to pull inventory off your back. How to visualize your physical space in virtual space. How to landmark what's going on. That had not really been done up until that point, right? Because nobody had been creating for commercial at home VR.
And now we see it in so many games. I mean, I can't tell you how many games I've seen the whole backpack inventory, from Walking Dead to the newest game, Project Terminus, as you use a backpack type. So
and there was a lot of other iterations before the backpack, you know, that did not work, because it was like, how do we do this? How do we solve this problem?
Well, and Cloudhead has always been big with innovation too, because I mean, you mentioned Denny Younger earlier. I mean, you guys did a lot with locomotion and simulation sickness and VR sickness, and trying to work with that, and then even doing something like the Aperture Hand Lab, which a lot of people don't know that Cloudheads did that Aperture Hand Lab for the you know, the index and the knuckle controllers.
And that kind of goes back to like solving those first problems, and you know, like solving how to move around. And I think the story of like the comfort turn thing, Anthony, you should tell it, but I think it's really interesting because like a lot of these conversations, just the way that, go ahead, I'll let you
well, if you're interested in all about that kind of that VR design history, then definitely check out our YouTube channel. We have a few videos kind of on our ideas there, basically, and Denny posted the comfort turns, or snap turns as they're sometimes called these days. It's a very common feature you get in VR now, and Cloudhead in a lot of ways pioneered it. It ended up after we introduced it, ended up in the Oculus Best Practices Bible for developers, and I think that's a big reason as why it became kind of as widespread as it did. And likewise with teleportation. Valve was kind of working in the same space at the same time. Obviously, they were working on the Vive with HTC at the time, and they invented rim scale VR. Valve did, and so they had to solve the locomotion issue as well. And we kind of converged in a lot of ways with coming up with teleportation. They had some ideas, and we had some ideas, and they lined up very roughly the same. And you can see the iteration of teleportation that we have in the gallery is very similar to the kind of iteration that you'd see in Steam VR Home, which Valve developed.
Wow.
I mean, they're basically the same system.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, so really, you know, innovating even way back then. I mean, you know, and you know, a lot of people just know Cloudhead. They just think PistolWhip, but the innovation and some of the things that you guys were doing early on in the days of VR is truly amazing to me.
Yeah, and that relationship, doing those things really early with Valve, I think one of the biggest things that kind of led to that whole like era of Cloudhead getting access to this hardware and kind of innovating in these ways was actually because before the consumer launch, before the HTC Vive, before Steam VR, the Oculus Rift was only head tracking. There was no hands. So Denny and the team at Cloudhead, even before they were Cloudhead, strapped in some Razer Hydra controllers. I don't know if anybody knows what these are. They're actually magnet-driven controllers that can sense space that way and track hands. And it was actually originally designed for 2D gaming. For things like Portal and Left 4 Dead or whatever. And they used it in VR for the very first time and kind of introduced hand tracking to VR. And that got Valve's attention because they were working on Steam VR at the time. So we were one of the very first developers to get into Steam VR. And then, it led all the way down to when Valve branched off and started working on the Index and working on finger tracking with the Valve Index. And we were one of the very first studios with that hardware and built Aperture Hand Lab, as you mentioned.
You guys practically pioneered the whole VR industry for the most part. I mean, this is impressive stuff.
Yeah, we definitely had our hands in a lot, for sure.
And it is definitely a small world of, especially back then, in 2013, 2014, when they were working on this stuff, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was not to say we were the only ones too. Obviously, there's a few studios that were really doing amazing stuff.
But I mean, the stuff you guys
Vertigo
did
was there, Shell was there. Yeah, but certainly we did our part, and we had a lot of fun with it, and we made some cool stuff that people still like today.
Absolutely, and one of those cool things is PistolWhip.
Yeah, before we jump to PistolWhip, let's just say hi to some. We have a lot of people watching, and let's just say hi to them real quick to say, hey, everybody, thanks for coming. We got absolutely. Over in the YouTube side, we've got Larry Kirk is here. We've got Paul Iyer. We got Lamplighter, which is Todd, who's sick, and he's our producer and our other co-host. He's sick, but he's still here. Thanks, Todd, for hanging out. Troy Gillis is here. Radio Runt from the Virtual Strangers podcast is here. He's a big Virtual Strangers guy. Mepper is here. Paul Iyer says it's damp, dark, and cold here in the UK. I hear you, man. I'm feeling it. That's what I feel like right now. Brendan Sims says indie devs are the best. I agree with you 100%. They are. They are the best.
Absolutely.
Onakazi is here. He says he has the Hydra controller's collecting dust somewhere. That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, ours are covered in duct tape somewhere in a cupboard as well.
we have Phenomenal here. Thanks for coming back, Phenomenal. I appreciate it. We saw Phenomenal last night. They say they're lurking. Keith Valdez is here. Bearable Man, how you doing? Our other moderator, Key Bennett is here. He's from England as well. How you doing, Key? Ross Singleton, Jesse Jasso, my mother-in-law, Mary Jane Ciccarelli. Hey, all right. She is a huge PistolWhip fan, guys. Huge.
Nice.
She plays hours a day PistolWhip.
You need to watch out.
You know what happened? There's a funny story though. She came and joined one of our live shows for the first time like a week ago, and she goes, "Oh, I joined your live queue the other day, or your live chat the other day, and I said hi, and you didn't say anything back." Like, I missed it. I'm sorry.
No good. No good. No bueno.
No, that wasn't good. So it was an awkward dinner. But hi, Mom. We have Nick Gezi is here. Ross Singleton, Todd Jackson, Bearbo. As I said before, how are you guys doing? Thanks for coming here and hanging out. And we are here to celebrate and talk. We've just talked a little bit about the gallery, which is definitely one of my favorite topics as well. But we're kind of all here to celebrate and talk PistolWhip a little bit and talk the magic of Cloudhead and what they've been able to do, and pretty much be a driving force, I think, in bringing virtual reality into the more mainstream, along with some games like Beat Saber which I hate, and Synth Riders and other things like that. I'm not a big Beat Saber fan. But
me and this man have a competition between. He's got a Synth Riders fanboy thing going on, and I'm Beat Saber, so it's going to be never ending. We can't get.
I think we should just quit both of them and just become huge PistolWhip fans.
PistolWhip. I can get on board with that
one. So let's talk PistolWhip. You guys are coming out of the galleries. It's early days still in standalone VR. You came out of the galleries. The galleries were incredible games, but I'm sure at that time VR is still very young. Not a lot of adoption. It's PC only at that time, or PC VR only. So the games were very, very well, well done, but they probably didn't get as much attention or being bought as much as they should. So you kind of come out of that, and now you switch gears completely, right? And you're going to a completely different platform and standalone. And basically, you're doing a completely different game than Cloudhead has ever done before. You're going from a beautifully rich environments and adventure game to a rhythm shooter, music driven game. So that had to be a huge, number one, had to be a huge risk for you guys, and number two, at that time, did you even know that this, I'm sure you knew that rhythm games would be important, but did you know that it would have the effect that it has had now?
Well, that's a big question.
It is, sorry. Let's hit it. Let's do it.
I will say that there is a really good DevCom talk that Cameron did on developing PistolWhip and the pillars of PistolWhip and kind of what that looked like coming off the heels of these two narrative adventures and kind of what that decision looked like and the thought process behind that. It was super intentional, and I can kind of take half of this, and then if you want to take the other half, Anthony, it definitely was super intentional, and there was a lot of market research that went into that, into looking into how the gallery did, how the market was looking, what the market in the future looked like, and then the development for PistolWhip kind of took place within a year. They began working on it at the beginning of 2019, and then in November, PistolWhip launched. And then what that kind of looked like to those pillars, I'll let you take over from there, Anthony.
Yeah, sure. PistolWhip came from a really specific place. Like you said, we kind of had come off the gallery and we knew we needed something that was maybe a bit more marketable and that kind of thing. But yeah, specifically we were looking at, as you mentioned, the the gallery was PCVR only, and Quest was releasing. And Quest was going to be the first standalone VR headset. And as VR kind of pioneers, and I'm sure anyone in the industry at that time kind of was able to recognize that like standalone was going to be a big step for the industry. And it turned out it was a huge step. And so we were really right into design for that. But those pillars came out of like designing for Quest in a lot of ways. And I think, Eric, you said earlier kind of the idea that, PistolWhip is trying to push VR into more of the mainstream, and it's doing that by being more accessible, being more like Beat Saber, where you can pick up and play. You have a really quick play session. You can pass the headset to a friend. They can jump in. They can learn how to play the game really, really easily. They look like they're having fun while they're playing it. They hopefully are having fun while they're playing it. Very different experience than the gallery, which is more meditative and slow and single player. I mean, PistolWhip single player too, but maybe less fun to watch than something like PistolWhip. The other thing there too is we didn't know like obviously we knew that Beat Saber was successful and Superhot was successful, and so when we kind of take those two ideas and we come up with our own idea from them, then we were like, okay, there's going to be something there maybe that is going to be kind of inherently popular, but we didn't know that it was going to blow up into the thing it did. We started playtesting really early on in the first few months of the game. We brought about 100, 200 people in, and people were really loving it. And it was 90 to 95% I love this game, and then the other 5% were I don't really connect with this game. It's not really something I would play. And so it's okay, we're not going to get everyone anyway. So we focused on those 90, 95% players, and we did some refinements on playtesting feedback from that. And then we launched, and that ratio continued. It was 90, 95% players love the game.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody go, Pistol,
Yeah,
who wants to play that garbage? Nobody ever says that. I want to know who those 5% of those. I want to know who those people are. Get their names right now.
I mean, those are people that are okay, we don't like the music as much, or maybe we're just not rhythm game fans in general, or maybe we're looking for something more AAA and more more polished or whatever. And those are all fair criticisms, especially for that 2019 version of the game. We've done a lot of changes, added more content, more types of music, more polish and art and all that kind of stuff since then. But that ratio continued, and it was okay, people actually really love this game, and then sales were really, really good, and it kind of took us all by surprise in a lot of ways. Even though we kind of knew that we knew that we had a good game, we just didn't know that it was going to be a top 10 game on Quest and blow everything we've ever done out of the water by tenfold.
Now, was there a specific inspiration for it, or what brought you to go from? Did you just say we want to do rhythm and that's why you did it, or was there something you said, okay, we like this right here, let's pick this and do something like this?
Yeah, take a look at the talk too that Ashley mentioned that Cam did. It's really cool. But basically, we looked at the industry at the time and we said, okay, what games are doing really, really well? And we saw games like Beat Saber and Superhot, and we said, why are they doing really, really well? And we said, okay, it's because they are accessible and easy to pick up and play. Really quick gameplay loop, very simple controls. A lot of shooters in VR, they really like to go really hardcore, realistic. You have to be really accurate, or you have to do some sort of complex thing to reload your gun and all that kind of stuff. And we were like, no, throw all that out the window. Your mom needs to be able to play this. Your grandma needs to be able to play this. This was actually really important to us when we did the initial playtesting batch, the first 100, 200 people. We got we work in a retirement community. And so we actually brought in some older players and some people, non-gamers, and they were connecting with the game and having fun and dying or not doing well by a score, but playing and surviving in a lot of cases. So we just wanted to make something really accessible like that. We were inspired by specifically Beat Saber and Superhot, but even more so John Wick. And John Wick kind of drove a lot of the pillars. One of our main pillars was looks cool, feels cool. You want to actually that's every single decision we make when we design the game, it's is this going to make the player look cool or feel cool? And some things like fumbling with your controller to reload was we weren't so sure about that. and even some things like we ended up with the very heavy auto aim in the game. If you play PistolWhip, you'll probably notice that it is very helpful, and the auto aim is very egregious. And that was a specific decision because we wanted it to be accessible and for you to like feel like John Wick and be able to, you know, get every bad guy. You know, he always headshots everybody or gets the gun or doesn't miss a shot, right? So that's part of the fun and the John Wick feel.
Well, that was one of my favorite things in the beginning when PistolWhip launched, and one of the reasons I was like, wow, this is going to be a huge hit, is you see all the content creators, even content creators that were not VR content creators, decide to start covering it and using this game, and guys dressing up in suits, you know, content creators dressing up in suits to do these things. The way you guys set the PR up and you launched this thing was completely genius and amazing, and it was one of the first things that I picked up on, and I just enjoyed it so much watching all that content.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah, especially that first launch trailer that we did.
That's what I was gonna say.
With the MR trailer with Dan in the suit. That was actually
fun fact. That's Dan's still here. He's
oh really?
Oh, nice.
The fellow in the suit does work at PistolWhip. They are lead level designer. So.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, Dan's fantastic. That trailer was really fun to make. We went out to Vancouver to a big green screen room. This was very early on in MR, right? And so there was very few of these around, and it was basically this big room that was painted green, and we set up all the cameras and all the lights, and we shot this trailer internally, you know, without even kind of external marketing help. We had some friends that had cameras and gear and stuff. Shout out to Mega Steak Man and Melissa Dex for that. But yeah, super fun trailer to make. And I think yeah, sold the game in a lot of ways, because seeing it in MR, it's like you say it a lot about VR. You need to kind of like play it to kind of understand it. And I think PistolWhip fits into that bill, and you could see it really well with the MR trailer.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah,
definitely
100%.
does.
So let's just before we get to Nick's going to take the next question, but before we get into that, let's just ask a couple people are saying things in chat like, "Thanks guys for making my thighs and my legs hurt this game."
Yeah, we had looked like we had somebody said they lost a bunch of weight playing PistolWhip.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
I could see it, man. I could see it. I mean, it makes you move, I think, more than really any other rhythm game, right? I mean, Synth Riders can make you move a little bit, but PistolWhip is definitely, sorry guys, my dog's midday. But yeah, I mean, PistolWhip makes you move for sure.
Well, one of our streamers actually he has a heart rate monitor, right? That he broadcasts on and we're like, no, don't go there. Just back off a teeny bit. You know, we don't have to be like on screen. You know,
we do all watch together.
Events, you know? He's gonna have a jammer.
We do have a question from Lethal Weasel from Virtual Strangers, and he asks, well, actually, it's not actually a question. He says, "I want the gallery part 3."
We do too.
Yeah. Do you guys? Do you want the gallery part 3?
Oh, the studio's heart and soul. They would, yeah.
I mean, because it was supposed to be originally a trilogy, so right, so yeah. It would be nice. It would definitely be nice to see it completed. There's a lot of people that absolutely love this game that are diehard fans of the gallery and just beg for these for the gallery part 3.
The way I kind of talk about it is that the gallery episode 1 launched at the beginning of consumer VR with room scale, and the gallery episode 2 launched right as the Valve Index was launching with really really impressive hand immersion. And I feel like, you know, if we were gonna launch episode 3, I'd really like to line it up with another next step for VR.
So Gen 3,
you know, Gen 3 kind of thing.
Yeah, I like it.
Be cool.
You've heard it here first. Gen 3 VR comes to the gallery part 3.
Oh my.
Let's just.
Anthony promises the gallery part 3 about once every 6 months in a different way.
I manifest it. I'm trying to manifest it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it more than Anthony. I promise.
Anthony, you just made a lot of people happy that you're out there, fighting for gallery part 3 inside Cloudhead. So there's a couple people saying PistolWhip was the first game I bought for VR. It remains my favorite to this day. That was from Sheila Fox Hutchinson.
Nice.
Thank you.
Bearbo says thanks for helping me lose weight. Helped me get over 100 pounds. He just said that here on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
That is awesome.
Amazing. Epic.
Yeah. All right, Nick, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. So actually, I was wanting to know a little bit about what kind of challenges y'all have to face when you are creating an interface for this type of game. So, you guys reinvented Pistol Whip with this newest DLC, and making that interface, it's not an easy task. What kind of challenges you have to overcome with doing this? How hard was it? Is it difficult? Was it kind of easy? How did that go? Explain that for us.
That's a Heath question for sure.
Yeah, definitely a Heath question, right?
Yeah, that's definitely Heath's question over
Yes.
here.
So when you make a program Pistol Whip, you want to stand it up in the most least intrusive way possible. You want to make things work first, right? And then as you add on features, you need to then burn down the things you did before and build something that's going to support your new system. And so that's kind of how user interface goes. You build what works for the time, and you try to think as far in the future as you can, but you just can't, you can't envision the future completely. So then you have to sometimes burn things down, start over again. So it's a continuous process of iteration. We still leverage things that were developed for the very first release of the game. We built a ton of stuff on top of that to support the new things like the campaign playlists and the challenges, and of course the new style system has a whole bunch of UI that you need to get into to make that work for you. So it's always a process.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I mean, I'm lost here. I understand that was difficult, but was that the only challenges that y'all had to overcome with this? Was just the interface, or was there more?
Well, one thing also is you want to release the product on as many platforms as you can, right? So you want to have support Steam and Quest stuff and Sony and such, but you have to. They're all different platforms, all different hardware. So do you build a system that talks between your thing and their thing, or do you keep separate code bases for each thing, or what do you do? It usually comes down to be some kind of a combination between those two. And then whenever the hardware changes, then of course you have to change again and pivot to support whatever new features the hardware has.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine it's got to be incredibly difficult, trying to work all these things in, because as we were talking about earlier, the menu options are so vast inside of this now, because you can pretty much change anything. There's so many modifiers now, and the way you can basically cater this game to exactly the way that you want to play it, which is, it's not done in many VR games. Usually you look at a menu system in a VR game and they give you very small, options, locomotion options or audio options or graphics options. Here, you have pages of modifiers and skins for your guns and ways that you can change things, and you can take the auto aim off, and you can just go completely without auto aim, and where you have to be a complete badass to hit every shot, which I can't do, by the way. I took the auto aim off.
And we keep giving Heath more and more, like more mods, more options, more campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have it even set down to where people can create their own modifiers and challenge other people against their setup. And
that's insane.
Your new trailer talks about that. I mean, it's a lot.
There's lots of places to go yet with it too, and we're excited about the future for it. But yeah, Eric, thank you for noticing that, and we want to give the players as many options as possible. And with that comes a certain amount of, cognitive load. And so the UI needs to minimize that as much as possible. By preferences to people only show what the player needs when they need it and nothing else, right? And just have everything hidden behind something else. So if they want to open up that section, then they can get into the modifiers and tweak things around. But still, adhering to our pillar of being very accessible, you can still open up the game, fire at a level, and you're in shooting things, So
which is great, because again, with having those options, it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes if you have too many, you can lose people in there to where then people get lost in there. They don't know what to do or how to do it. And then it becomes a detriment instead of a bonus. And you guys have done this perfectly, where the options are there, but it's so user-friendly just to jump in and do whatever you want to do.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we strive for. So the fact that you said that just warms my heart.
That's his whole job in a nutshell, right there.
Please make the
gold star, Eric. Gold star.
Ashley, I just want to confirm you're okay if I ask that question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we were reading chat about the PS5. Maybe. We don't know anything. We know about as much as y'all do. And as soon as we know more, we will tell you, because if anybody's excited about next gen VR, it's us.
Yeah.
So as soon as we're able to share stuff, it's really kind of, we go by the seat of our pants a lot of the time. And a lot of the time you're not hearing from us simply because we don't know if something is ready or coming out. Exactly. We don't. And exactly, like some people think Gen 2, the standalone headsets would be considered next gen. But from like a performance development standpoint, not necessarily so. So it depends what PSVR 2 is like and what limitations are there and what capabilities it has. But we're waiting with bated breath, just like y'all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the PistolWhip is just as popular on PlayStation, or maybe not as big of an audience, but I mean, it's a hugely popular game on PlayStation, right? I mean, you guys must do very,
we
very
love
well
PlayStation.
there. Yeah.
PlayStation VR has not their PlayStation VR 2. We're waiting on it because it's been a long time. PSVR came out a while ago. But we love our PSVR community. We definitely have one. We really strive to include them as much as we can. The last update was our first one that had system parity, so it came out on all the platforms at the same time. PlayStation Fam got in there at the same time. So it's really important to us that kind of all of the heroes are in the action at the same time and have that same experience. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for PSVR 2.
Yeah, but me too. Me too. I mean, we're an Oculus Quest group here, but we're lovers of VR. So I have a Valve Index. I've got 2 Quest 2. I've got a Quest 1. I've got a Quest 2. I've got a PSVR, and I just got a Vive Flow that I don't know what the freak I'm going to do with. And I just backed the Kickstarter for the Lynx, which is going to be coming, which I think is going to be a cool thing. So yeah, I mean, even though we're a Quest group, we're VR fans in general. And that's why it's fantastic that you guys did the whole gamut and you ran to all platforms, which not everybody does. So it's important.
I have PSVR. I've got a headset, and I've got my own personal index, as well as my Cloudhead index because I don't want to. I play a lot of VR, and I don't want to sweat into my work headset. So I've got my own headset off to the side. I've got my own personal Quest 1. I don't have a Quest 2, but yeah, same thing. Like we are all evangelists, and we are super in. That's a bad word, but we love VR. we love VR, and it's kind of a joke when I go into meetings. Like, I'm not allowed to talk about PistolWhip because I don't stop, right? Like, especially with our externals, it's like, okay, I'm not allowed to talk about PistolWhip or VR because I just derail the whole conversation.
Yeah, that would be and that would be a question I have. I mean, you guys must love the game, right? You guys play the game all the time. I mean,
oh my goodness. Thermi is so good. Thermi places top 10. Anthony is Thermi. So if you are on the leaderboards at all, Anthony.
That's not fair.
I know who I'm aiming to beat for now. Now I know who I got to go for.
Yeah, you always notice too that which maps I have the highest score on. They may or may not be ones I designed.
Yeah, that's not fair, man.
A little bit of an edge there.
Yeah, he knows where every guy is popping out at every point. It's too funny.
Speaking of maps and songs, real quick, someone else asked in the chat about the licensing for the music. So why don't y'all tell us my personal favorite, and not to be biased against anything, but I love Smoke and Thunder. Smoke and Thunder is really just what did it for me. What is, how hard was it obtaining music for Smoke and Thunder, the previous songs, all of it? Was it difficult? Was the licensing hard to get? How did that go about?
Well, luckily, none of us actually do the licensing. The person that does the licensing works very hard. It is a very, very difficult job. So we don't really know what goes into it. We've got some really amazing artists that we work with, though. The Cannibal artists that we launched with, Anthony knows a little bit more about that, kind of the launch tracks and those artists. They are amazing and they're wonderful to work with. But yeah, it really just depends, right? Like, it depends on the track. It depends on the artist. We do listen to a tremendous amount of music. If people from the community recommend anything or send us a recommendation, it goes on a list. The studio shares songs with each other. So as far as that part of it, that process is incredibly involved, and the entire studio is involved. And we really try and listen to pretty much anything that's given to us to consider when we're trying to find a sound. As far as like the actual licensing and what's entailed there, it takes a long time, and it's a lot of stress, and it's a little celebration whenever we get something that we really want, because sometimes it's a fight, right? Like we fight really hard to get some of this stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine on that.
Go ahead.
I just want to give a quick shout out. Yeah, Cannibal Records, our initial launch partner, fabulous label to work with. They were really great. Basically, we decided we were going to work with them. They had this really nice, perfect kind of John Wick EDM cinematic, like dark feel to it that like was just really kind of fitting and perfect for the game. And so they basically sent us our catalog and was like, what do you want to use here? And so we actually kind of worked back and forth with them a little bit to come up with those first 10 tracks, and we got everything we wanted there, and that was really awesome. And then for Smoke and Thunder specifically, it was not with Cannibal. We actually reached out to some almost like more major popular music, major labels. It was actually kind of funny when we were licensing. 3 of them ended up being on the same like agent or whatever, like the same distribution system. As,
you can tell we're really good at the legalese. We do it a lot.
But yeah, 3 of them turned out to come from the exact same place, and so that was kind of fun. But the biggest kind of change there was just how the larger, like, bigger labels handle the licensing. With Cannibal, we had no problems. We were able to like get a license, a marketing license, able to use it in trailers and all that kind of stuff. And then with some of the newer stuff with the bigger labels, we had some troubles with where we could get the license in the game, but then if we wanted to like create a gameplay video and like make a trailer, we couldn't do that without another separate license. So that made things a little bit more complicated. But it turned.
Do you have a whole department that does this, or no? Or is it just a couple of people?
No,
it's a couple people.
Yeah, it's not really a department. Our project
small indie studio, man. They all got multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joel. You do great work.
Thanks,
And also, Anthony deserves a special shout out because as the main editorial person in the group, he's responsible for going through those lists of hundreds, literally, of songs and putting them into playlists and then rearranging the playlists and then seeing if they fit the storyline and rearranging them again, culling them, and so that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a really fun process. Takes everyone in the team, and yeah, with Smoke and Thunder, it was really cool because we spent weeks and weeks and weeks finding music, and everyone pitched in, and there's
watching
Western
like, movies.
Oh yeah,
watching Western movies and all this kind of stuff, and we got everything we wanted. We came up with a short list of five songs that we wanted for this pack, and we got every single one of them, which was really cool.
I love Barebow Man says, "What a waste of a pretty face. What a waste." I love that song, man. It's such a good song, right? Oh, it's so good, guys. Though I still gotta say, I'm kind of like original Black Magic. I mean, it's one of my. It's still that's one of the. Anytime I jump in, I'll always go back and play that before I go into like 2089.
I always start with Black Magic.
Yeah,
I
just love it.
Play. I warm up with Black Magic every time I play.
Now, do you guys like have a song? Do you know if there's a song out there that is like, that song is PistolWhip? Like, do you think most people like have a song out that they pick and they say that, like Beat Saber, like $100 bills, right, or something like that? Do you have one that's for PistolWhip that you think that's like that?
I feel like Black Magic might be it. Maybe Are You Afraid? Since
basically those first three, we organized the set list really specifically. Black Magic was not only the first song we designed, but one of the first songs we found, and we were like, yes, this is the perfect John Wick song. I think Black Magic is kind of the iconic PistolWhip song, but people really like The Grave as well, and also Are You Afraid? Those are the first 3 songs in the set list. All 3 of those songs are really kind of popular and iconic. And I will say with Smoke and Thunder as well, Not Dead Yet has become really popular.
And that's kind of the cool thing, right? Is that there's kind of something for everyone, which is where we eventually went. You really see it with like Heartbreaker, but that maybe it's not just John Wick, right? Maybe whatever kind of action hero you are, or whatever kind of type of scene or action you want to find, that will be in there for you, whatever type of music you like. And so that is definitely something that we keep in mind, and something that we kind of move away towards. I saw somebody talking about that in chat. That is something that we definitely think about.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, what prompted y'all? Because Smoke and Thunder isn't quite like almost the rest of PistolWhip in its own. What prompted a move in that direction, to go with that Western theme? I mean, it's a great story. Love the story with Tess and finding her sister. But what prompted that direction?
There's a few things. Honestly, one of the biggest things is probably like the revolvers and
They work
figuring out
so
a
well.
way to. It was a really common user request, and we were like, okay, so we want to do revolvers for sure. And then it was like that's something that fell off the truck. It's like, okay, we have revolvers, let's do a Western, and the Western is a nice little contrast to the sci-fi pack as well, right?
Exactly.
And so yeah, I think we landed on Western very, very quickly after finishing 2029.
Number one request, just by far.
Was it really?
Six shooters. It's funny too because as soon as we did 6 shooters, now I'm starting to get like larger, like 32 fully automatic requests, right? Like I want a 32 shot fully automatic weapon. But yeah, that was by far laser sights and 6 shooters are by far the highest community request, I think.
But even the second gun you get is it like a shotgun?
It's like
the 2-shot
blaster,
that thing's amazing too, and that was done so smartly. I thought, yeah, the boomstick, and it was done so smartly because you would think, okay, 2 shots, how the hell am I going to do this? But it really, when you get going, it's so smooth to reload and you're just constantly moving, and it just going to the 2-shot, because it's so different than 2089. 2089, you get the automatic, and it's just like bang, bang, bang. Here, you really have to like choose when you're going to reload, how many shots you're going to take, and with that weapon, it's almost like an area effect. You have to hit the area effect just right, so it changes the strategy of the game, I think.
Yeah, it's also interesting too how it stacks with modifiers. That's one of the things I'm really proudest about the whole game is how well all the modifiers kind of all play with, and weapon types kind of play with each other. One of the really cool things, we actually talked about this this week. We set up a new challenge. We do a weekly challenge in the game where we predefine modifiers and choose a scene for everyone to play every week. And this week we chose a scene with boomsticks and Deadeye. So Deadeye removes the auto aim, so you have to actually hit the target. And so you'd think the area of effect is kind of not really helpful, except, as Ashley pointed out, you can actually just shoot the platforms that the enemies are standing on, and then you get the area of effect, and you actually get the kill on the enemy. So you don't actually have to have that perfect accuracy. You can take advantage of the boomstick's area of effect. Very interesting kind of way that everything works together.
Oh,
yeah, there are so many good questions in chat. I mean, our chat, they're such intelligent people. I'm really not kissing their asses, but really, there's just really a lot of good questions. There's just really a lot of good questions out there. Let's this one's just a really good question. I think you can answer. Did you set out? This is from Lethal Weasel West from Virtual Strangers. So, did you set out intentionally to blur genre lines with this game? He says, I respect the creativity that goes into trying to tell a story in what is sold as a rhythm game.
Definitely. Yeah. Go ahead, Anthony, though. I see.
Yeah.
He's ready. I want that one.
So, yeah, well, it's interesting because, again, it kind of comes down to these core pillars. And again, a lot of credit to Cameron, our gameplay engineer here, who helped to really define these pillars and to push the gameplay design this way. But one of the main things is we really want you to be able to play the game in a lot of ways and to have what we call multiple paths to top scores.
Which that's how Cameron says hello. He says multiple paths to top scores. Whenever you get in a call with Cameron, multiple paths to top scores.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's a thing, and what that means is that we're trying to build a rhythm game and a shooter at the same time, and we're trying to let you play the game as a shooter if you don't care about rhythm, and to let you really kind of enjoy the rhythm game elements if you're into that kind of thing. And yeah, the design was really specific that way. A good example is the tutorial. In the tutorial, we don't actually talk about the rhythm elements at all. We actually just try to teach players to survive. And the idea there is, yeah, you're playing a shooter game. So what's the idea in the shooter game? You survive and you shoot things. So that's what we teach. And then the rhythm stuff is kind of like a bonus. It applies to scoring. It applies to mastery, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, and with the rhythm too, just the one thing I always want to mention, so smart to have the metronome, is that what you call it? And the beats and the haptics of the controllers. Such a smart thing, because not everybody can easily pick up on the beats, especially when you have a song that can sometimes have several different beats at different times. So it's just a smart thing that if you get somebody who's maybe a little frustrated with that, they can switch off and go to the metronome and just feel that pulse when you're supposed to be shooting. It's kind of just an amazing thing. It was just a smart idea.
Well, speaking of haptics, have you guys considered or a lot of games are doing this nowadays, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, adding B haptics to PistolWhip. I personally have the X40 and the Tactile C arms, so I would love to see it.
We have a dev kit. We talk to B Haptics all the time. That being said, there's no promise that we can ever, it's definitely on our radar. It's something that we would love to do. We talk to them. We love what they are working on. We love everything that they're doing for VR. I've tried out pretty much everything that they have at OC6, but it is a huge developmental undertaking.
I bet.
And so finding the developmental time for that, because when we're choosing between, do we release Smoke and Thunder or do we do B haptic support?
Right.
And we have to make a choice there because we only have one engineer. Then we have to go the side of the campaign. Does that mean that it's never going to happen? I don't know.
I'm glad y'all did decide to do Smoke and Thunder because, again, my favorite campaign. I'd rather take that over the B haptics. It's just amazing.
And there's a lot to it, right? It's not just getting the kit and then putting it into PistolWhip. We have to try it with all of the games that it's already integrated in and see how it works and see where it shines and what it's best for, and then figure out if it will work for any of our other IPs and if there's anything that maybe in the future that we're working on, if it could work for those. And that all has to happen before it can even be passed to the PistolWhip team. And then how it can be best integrated into PistolWhip. You don't actually get shot directionally. There's no, the game doesn't know where you're getting impacted from a bullet. And so how that would look, and what that would look like would be a whole creative, process, because we'd want even that sort of integration to be, as perfect as it can be within PistolWhip and up to the quality of PistolWhip.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I expect Alex Milan from B haptics to jump in the chat any moment and go, yes, let's do it.
I love what you all are doing. Thank you so much for the kit. It's on our radar. My lead engineer has them. And he has no time. And I talk to them about it all the time. And it's just that we definitely want it. We've got a B haptics kit. We've also got Pro 2 kits, which is another haptics company.
Oh, nice.
So we are very aware, and we do love what they're doing. And it's
the Pro.
It's like whenever we have a minute, we look at it.
The Pro with this.
But yeah, it's just there's three of us, And
right. Yeah.
There's three of us total. So
let's hit the other question that everybody's asking, everybody wants to ask. So a lot of these rhythm games, they all have, custom maps, custom songs where they open it up. Any plans for PistolWhip to do anything like that, or a thought?
So I will say that we do have a modding community that I'm very close with. I talk to them. I send people to their Discord. I'm in their Discord. They are included in all of our early access so that they can make sure that everything that we're doing makes sense. And they know our game almost as well as we do. And so I consider them really, really, really valuable parts of the community. And I keep them in the loop as much as I can. I think that they run one of the largest communities, just like y'all do, that's not official, right? So I think that they're incredibly valuable and they're included in all of that. That being said, we would love to open up the game to everyone. Cameron, multiple paths to the top, kind of play however you want. We would love for folks to be able to play whatever their music they want to play in PistolWhip. Again, developmental undertaking, that is a huge process. But is it something that we would never do? No. Again, we keep really, really, really in close contact with anybody that's doing any sort of modding, so that if we're ever to the point where we're able to, we can kind of jump into that and do it. We've been so busy adding all of this content and adding all of these campaigns that it just hasn't got to a point there. But yeah, I mean, we love everything that they're doing. And if you are not checking them out, if you don't know about our modding community, if you haven't joined their Discord, please do, because they do really cool stuff. And there is a way to swap out music and kind of do that sort of thing. And it's very cool. So hit them
yeah, if you have their Discord,
Discord is actually linked in the official PistolWhip Discord in the FAQ section.
Okay.
So if you go to our Discord, then you can find them as well.
Okay.
Another URL that works for our Discord, pistolwhip.gg. You can run that too.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Okay. Nice.
And yeah, one more shout out to Renaxi as well. Renaxi just finished developing the very first multiplayer PistolWhip, and it works flawlessly. Really fantastic work.
We're very aware, right? We're playing this stuff with them. If you're doing something with PistolWhip, we know about it, and we're trying to, and we love it. So
yeah.
And Givo too. Nice. Shout out to Givo Renaxi. Yes. I'm going to say this person's name wrong, SC2AD. They do really cool stuff, and they're all brilliant. So,
yeah. So Wes Dillon asks, how do you guys make any money when you give all your DLC away for free? That is a great question. You guys just
we're very
keep giving.
hungry. We're starving.
Oh my God! It's amazing that you just keep doing this stuff. I mean, I expected after before the camp, I expected the first 2089 to be paid for DLC, and I would have been happy to pay it all day long. But even before that, I assumed that some of the songs coming out later would have been even the Heartbreaker would have been charged DLC, but you guys just kept giving it away. And I would have bet money that Smoke and Thunder was going to be a paid DLC. And when you guys dropped it and you said, no, we're going to give it to you guys, as long as you have the game before such and such a date, we'll give it to you guys for free. And I'm like, that is insane. That's such a good way to do these things.
Well, thank you so much. That was definitely, a huge decision, and it took a lot of people to make that decision. It was very difficult, but that was a part of how we're able to do it. We up until that point, everything had been free, and we hadn't increased the price. And then after Smoke and Thunder, we did increase the price to hopefully recoup some of that. But it's definitely a difficult choice every single time, and we love that we were able to keep doing it with no additional cost and no DLC. Does that mean that we'll always be able to do it? No, I'm not making any promises. But we are always excited when we're able to release content and not have to charge for it. That always makes us super happy.
Awesome. And you guys
keeping everybody together is super important to us if we can help it.
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys have released started out with 10 songs when it came out, and I think it's up to 28 now, it's insane. It's unheard of.
Crazy.
It's so much extra content. Yeah. So it's very, very impressive.
Well, I remember when it launched, people were like, "Oh, this game is great, but geez, it's only 10 songs," and everybody's just like, "Just wait, give it a time. You gotta give it a little bit of time." And then bang, it was like song, and then it was like, oh, another song, another song, and then it's just some, the High Priestess, Akuma. Some of these things were just so good. I mean, and it was just like it was perfectly timed too, because just when you were like, okay, I want something new, bang, you guys would hammer a song out. It was just perfectly done. So let me ask you guys each question real quick. Any favorite song for any of you guys? One that you always go to if you're going to play, or you would always like to do in PistolWhip.
It changes for me. I mean, I always start with Black Magic, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Anthony I know Anthony's. I don't know Heath's. I really like all of Heartbreaker, and I like all of Smoke and Thunder. But my favorite song is probably Trap Requiem. That's probably my favorite track of all of them.
Yeah, different songs for different moods. I mean, Another Day is fantastic when you get the fireworks at the end of it. Always just takes it to the next level for me emotionally. And not a lot of games trigger you emotionally. And after this intense physical workout you just had, suddenly it's like the world is a wonderful place. You're celebrated, and it just feels good.
And there's so much variety in it too. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Mine is probably. I'll just answer quickly. Yeah, mine is probably The Fall. I like The Fall a lot. The Fall is an interesting one because it's one of the few scenes, or one of the first scenes that didn't fully utilize enemies running around. It's way more surreal, and so enemies spawn in place, and it's almost more rhythm game than most other scenes. But I also like Religion. I'm really proud of the work I did on Religion, and Religion is really, really fun.
Yeah. So me and Nick have a huge disagreement here. I love both. We'll say that up front. I love Thunder. I love Smoke and Thunder. I love 2089, but 2089 is my favorite. Nick's is Smoke and Thunder. You guys have to choose now. Which is your favorite? No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna guess Ashley, your favorite's got to be Smoke and Thunder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's easy. Mine's Smoke and Thunder. I got to do a lot of writing on Smoke and Thunder in comparison to the prior one, and I'm actually from Houston, Texas, and so when we announced that it was Western in January, I talked in a Southern accent. We do a daily stand-up with the PistolWhip team, and we all meet up in the morning and we see what we're working on. I talked in a Southern accent every single day for 6 months. Until
you used your Southern drawl.
Yes, it was an absolute blast. And by the end of it, a bunch of people joined in, and everybody was Jihan. It was a Rune Team good time.
God bless.
I actually miss it. I do. God bless Texas. And it was
Cowboy names
because it was very, where I grew up.
I love the story in 2089. When it came out, I was just so jazzed. I mean, it was like, again, another perfect timing because, like you said, not even people were asking for it. Nobody was asking for it, but it was what we wanted. As soon as it came out, we're like, wow, this is amazing. This is what we wanted. But nobody was even asking for it. So you gave us something that we didn't even really know we wanted, but we wanted. So yeah, I mean, when 2089 dropped, I was like, this is great. This completely changes the game for me. And I just had so much fun, and just the tech background story of it was just amazing, and the weapons were great, and the music was fantastic. It was a home run for me.
Yeah, but Smoke and Thunder kind of hit close to home for me, so I do live in the South, man.
It means a lot to me. I'm very glad. What about you, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm really proud of both of them, and I think Smoke and Thunder is the better pack. I think it's just a bit more refined and polished.
Eric.
but I do, as you can see from my background, if you've played 2089, I do have a very soft spot for 2089.
Yeah.
I was able to go a little bit more buck wild with the story, and I had a lot of fun with writing those cutscenes. Just a bit of a different experience between the two of them in terms of 2089 was like it's sci-fi, right? And so I could I was able to go a little bit further with it, whereas with Smoke and Thunder, I had to kind of tone it down a little bit. Obviously, we have this kind of crazy ending, but yeah, the monologue in 2089 is I had fun writing that for sure.
Yeah, I do love Smoke and Thunder. I mean, the lady who played Tess, Avalon Penrose, she's so good. She's so good. She's got such a great voice, and she did that part so well.
They're both so incredible. They were so amazing to work with.
Yeah, I don't know who did the other one. I know her just because I knew
Victoria Hogan.
Yeah, they were both so good.
They were.
Yeah.
What about you, Heath? You're a robot person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Come on, Heath.
I mean, both have
that's what I was thinking. I was like,
them.
you're a robot person. I knew it. Yeah.
And the hospital scene just still icks me out. Basically.
I will say Cage Fight is phenomenal. Right, Cage Fight's probably one of my favorite scenes in general. I think it does. I hated Cage Fight in testing a lot, and it was Antony's baby, and I was like, I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna be really brutal. I hate this. It's so awful. And Antony took it. Antony took all of this feedback, and I think that what came out of that is such a it is so perfect for what that experience is supposed to be. You're crawling out, fighting your way through. They've taken your weapon. You've woken up in this hospital. You're punching these robots, and you're just fighting for your life. And it just that's what you feel like when you get to the end of it. And it's just this huge relief when you get out of the hospital. And it feels just exactly like that. And it's such a triumph. And it's probably one of my favorite experiences as far as visceral pistol whip scenes,
Yeah.
So I will say that.
Yeah, and the weapons are another thing too. I mean, I love the weapons in 2089. It was so smart to do that automatic. It just made you feel like such a badass when you get to use that weapon where it has that spread shot where you can just take out 5 guys with one shot. It's amazing. But even the rest of the weapons in the regular songs, there's so many different configurations of weapons and skins that you can put on them. I mean, you could spend an hour just outfitting all your weapons, with different things, right?
Yeah, Eric, you need to bring that burst mode over into the Smoke and Thunder. Now that was fun.
I heard that was cool, right? I didn't do that. That was cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, burst fire and shot in the dark in particular is really interesting. That's the first scene with the boom shields, which they themselves take 4 shots, and then the burst fire delivers 4 shots, and so you spray the shields and they melt. And then you shoot the enemy underneath the shield. And it's kind of a satisfying experience compared to the boomstick, which just kind of explodes the shield. You just kind of melting it is a little bit different, sounds different, feels different. Yeah.
So I got to ask you guys, as developers, with all these modifiers, the trailer advertises millions of combinations. How many combinations is there? Do you guys know how many there actually is?
Well, there is a theoretical maximum that we will never get to. So I can give you that, or I can give you some. Well, leave it with caveats. So basically, it's 18 with 18 zeros after it is the number of possible combinations you can get.
Oh my
but then some of them are
Crazy.
mutually exclusive. You can't have bullet hell with no bullets, right? So some of them don't cancel each other out.
Yeah.
So yeah, somewhere between 2 and 18 billion.
That's insane.
Basically, it's endless because there's no way anybody would be able to play them all in this lifetime. And so
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, that's so great though. I mean, just options. What's what we ask for in VR is options. We love having options, man. I mean, this is like open top options, but we love it.
Well, some of them also, they take you to weird places in the game that you wouldn't expect, right? Because you'll have all these strange combinations of modifiers that really affect each other in unforeseen ways. We didn't foresee the ways. We just knew the things we could discreetly do. But when you put those discrete components together, hey, you get chaos. And chaos is good.
Hell yeah. I love Heath already. I'm telling you, he's my guy.
Heath is the most talented of the three of us by far. The coolest of all of us, for sure. He's got robots. He's got DJ machines back there.
Yeah, the astromech stuff.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Unbelievably cool.
Yeah, but Ashley, you have a sword and a shield in your corner
I
of your
promise
room,
you,
which
he's got
I
a sword and a shield somewhere back
think is
there.
amazing, man. And it's a real sword. It's not, but it's like a real weighted
I got
sword and
it at
shield.
a Renaissance festival from like a blacksmith guy that had a
That's
bunch of like video game weapons. Yeah.
You should have showed up today with every interview.
I got
Like
it at the Houston
chainmail
Renaissance
and your
actually.
sword and your shield. It would have been great.
I actually got it at the Houston Renaissance Festival when I lived in Texas. In the
so
before
good.
times.
So good. So I was talking to you guys earlier about peripherals, and these things are huge now. Everybody is using these things with PistolWhip. I mean, these are from Hello Real, but there's different ones out there. Oh, look at you! You got a
Nice.
pink one.
Yeah, so I have Hello Real. I have the
Here's
pink
a
Hello
custom
Reals.
one.
I did get them ready because
What?
I have two. They are cool.
Nice.
I generally
God.
don't, but I usually don't use peripherals when I play because I play a lot of different games. Right,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
play a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't like switching them off and on. But they are really, really cool, and they look really pretty, and they do come in hot pink.
Yeah, look at that. I don't have. I just have black ones. I don't have that. I'm not good. I don't have those.
See, look, I have them. Hello, Real.
Yeah, look at that. But these the ones I have here, Ashley, are weighted, and they make a
Yeah, those
complete
are so
difference for me than the regular ones.
Yeah.
Like the regular ones are nice, but they're basically almost the same weight as a touch controller. This
Right.
actually it makes you feel like you're holding something. Like I said, it holds about it's like $3 in some sense, $3.50 or something like that in quarters. But you can put as many or as little as you want, but it's just having that feel and that weight in your hands when you're playing. It just adds something extra to it. When you're in there, the immersion factor is great, and I love it. But yeah, I mean,
Even
Hello
getting
Real makes it
closer
great.
to the index because I generally play on index.
Mhm.
If I'm playing at home, and the index controllers are a little bit heavier. Well, I think I don't even know. That could be inaccurate. Maybe it's just in my brain, but they're definitely cool and they look cool.
Definitely heavier.
Right.
Hello
Yeah.
Real is in the chat, and they want to give you guys a big thanks for the inspiration.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I think it was PistolWhip that really brought them into making the pistol stocks they have. I mean, there's a million games out there that you could do them on that we can dual wield pistols, but this game is just it lends itself so well to dual wielding. And Nick was saying that earlier that he can't even play without the dual wield now. When he plays? But I mean, I remember when I first started playing. I was like, if you do the dual pistol modifier, your score is lower. And I was always like chasing the leaderboard. So I started playing right off the bat, only using. I mean, you feel like a complete badass when you're using the dual wield pistols. Don't get me wrong, but if you're chasing those leaderboards, you really have to have all the modifiers off, right?
Well, speaking
we actually
go ahead.
changed it so there is no penalty on dual wielding.
Oh, is it?
longer.
Oh,
Because we found that
Eric,
the
Never know.
penalty that you inherently have due to your lack of accuracy from having a second pistol takes care of it itself. So that the scores were pretty close, and we unrolled that. We kept a really close eye on it though to make sure that hypothesis would hold true. And yeah, we found that you latently will lose a little bit of accuracy, so we didn't need to also punish players in addition.
Now I can use my second gun. I can use my other one.
Yeah.
So I don't have to, because I was just using the one because, like I said, I'd like to chase leaderboards.
no, I gotta be dual.
Now you
wielding,
might-
and it just
I'm
goes
coming
more
after you,
natural.
Anthony. I'm coming
Inherently
after
have
you.
a lower
100%.
score. You
Yeah,
might
right.
just
well-
because that stabilization helps a lot. Because I play single pistol Deadeye, and that's my style. That's kind of the only way that I ever play pistol whip. And anytime we do any scene that I have to test that's dual wield, I complain about it.
You're badass playing Deadeye.
I'm not very good on Deadeye. I don't play on hard. But
well, speaking of the scoring, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about how the scoring is done in there? You know, to the pulse. How does all the scoring work? Because even I'm not completely familiar with the whole ins and outs of it.
Yeah, we're gonna actually in the next update we're gonna try and add some stuff to explain this a little bit in game, so we don't have to do this every time we come on the show. Thank you, Heath, for giving us space for that.
We're adding another menu.
But yeah, so basically what happens is there's two components. The first component is the rhythm score, and the second component is the accuracy score. The accuracy is determined by how close you were to the target without considering aim assist. So, for instance, if you hit the target on the body, anywhere on the body, that's full accuracy points. That's 100 points. But if you're off the body somehow, you're still going to hit the shot because of auto aim, but you're going to get fewer points because you were further away from the target. So that's one side of things. And then the other side is a bonus 100 points if you're on beat, which is the haptic metronome that you feel, or the pulse in the world, that kind of stuff. And so it's just those two components, how close you are to the target for accuracy, and then whether or not you're on beat for another 100 points, and that adds up to 200 points for every shot that you land. There are some other...
Sorry, I just want to say real quick, if you're hitting those perfect scores and you don't have Deadeye on, that means you didn't need to have the auto aim. You could have had Deadeye on, you would have hit the shot. You didn't use the auto aim whatsoever. You hit it on your own.
Yeah, totally. Anytime you see a 200, you know for sure you would have hit that shot with Deadeye. I actually find training that way with auto aim on, but going for 200s and like aiming for center mass and trying to get those 200s with auto aim on is actually really good practice for Deadeye, because it's kind of punishing in Deadeye when you miss shots and then you're getting shot at and all that kind of stuff.
You get really overwhelmed.
You get overwhelmed. Yeah, it's a bit better with Threatless nowadays. You can turn Threatless on and not get shot, so you can just kind of target practice. But I actually find it really good practice to play with auto aim on, aim for center mass, get those 200s, and then switch back off of Deadeye.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there that chase leaderboards like this, right? I mean, it's a competitive thing where people, like, when they see somebody beat their score, they get so crazy. They're like, I got to go back in right now and get my score.
Our top players are wild, and they're absolute action heroes. They're like, I would not mess with them. They are the nicest, most helpful group of people because they know that they can't be messed with, right? Like,
yeah, right.
They're super fit and their aim is ridiculous. So I would never pick a fight with any of our community members.
So yeah, that's amazing. So our other co-host Todd Jackson, who was sick today, had a stomach problem. He just messaged me and he said, just played PistolWhip while I was listening. Made it to the boss in Smoke and Thunder, and he said it's so good. He said Clint Eastwood can suck my toe. So I messaged him back. I said, "You must be feeling better, I guess."
Yeah.
He was like, "I can't even."
Not feel good tomorrow,
yeah. Oh my god, good for him. So I mean, that's how popular. That's how this game hooks you in so much. You could feel bad, and he's like, "We're talking about PistolWhip. I want to go in right now and play." Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
It is.
Yeah. Is there, so, I mean, is there plans for a PistolWhip 2, or are you just going to keep making, more songs, more campaigns? You know what I mean? Do eventually go, guys, let's do a part 2 or something like that, or do you just keep, putting out amazing content, which would be fantastic?
We definitely always talk about that. When we are talking about the next thing that we're doing, we talk about everything, right? Like, is it PistolWhip 2? Is it another game? Is it more content? Is it another campaign? And whether or not it's likely at all, or there's a chance of it at all, we always talk about it, right? Like, we're a creative studio, and like being able to talk about ideas and, have that all out in the open is really important to making the best choice for all of the content. That being said, we actually don't know what we're doing yet or when it's coming out yet. And
I love that.
The reason that we don't tell folks is because things change, right? Like, and I hate more than anything to tell the community, this is coming out and here's what's going to be in it and here's the date, and then have to move it. We try very hard to be really certain when we move things. We try to only move it a little bit, and we kind of have done that historically, where it's just a couple of weeks or just even 2 days. One time we had to move a launch by 2 days, and I mean, that kills me. And so I hate when we're quiet. It's not because we're not talking about all this stuff. We would love to do all of this stuff. It's because we don't want to disappoint y'all and say that we can do something and then not have it happen. So as soon as I know something for sure, like that's kind of when we start announcing it. Really,
That's so cool. I didn't even see
That's
Lunar
awesome.
B was in chat. That's awesson. Lunar B was
It's one of our top players.
I
Hey, Lunar B.
just noticed that.
Action
That's
hero.
so cool.
Nice.
I think
Yeah,
I
thanks
think
for being
maybe
here.
number 2 in the world. Probably.
Maybe number
probably.
two.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So this is one of those players I don't mess with, right?
Yeah, don't mess with
One can try.
it.
So, in Smoke and Thunder, I mean, all of you guys are part of that. I want to hear from each one of you guys something that y'all are particularly proud of with the Smoke and Thunder, the revamping the UI, the story. What's something that you guys are individually? Let's start with you, Ashley. What are you guys particularly proud of individually?
Oh my goodness. Smoke and Thunder is probably just the work I got to do with Anthony, for sure. I was also really proud, like super behind the scene on the script. There's a couple of lines in there that I really love that I helped come up with. And then also behind the scenes, we did an alpha for Smoke and Thunder that was really, really involved and massive. I believe y'all took part in it. I don't even remember because it's been so long. But we had a bunch of folks play and submit footage, and we made a lot of choices from that, and it was really helpful to the team. And I was really proud of that. I kind of spearheaded that, and that was a huge project, so that was a lot of fun. But as far as the game, yeah, the work I got to do on the narrative this time was really, really
Awesome.
cool.
Awesome. Anthony?
Yeah, with Smoke and Thunder, yeah, the story, I was definitely very happy with that. It was a challenging one, especially compared to 2089, where I mean, it's kind of just dealing with one character, whereas with Smoke and Thunder, then we had to kind of come up with 2 characters, and they were also female characters, which was a kind of a new direction for me. And so I think I was really kind of happy with how that turned out. But something that's a little bit less obvious is actually the work that I did polishing the older scenes.
That's a good one.
With the styles update. Then the idea was that you could take all sorts of different stuff into all sorts of different scenes. And we also introduced Brawler mode, which is just a melee only mode. So I actually went back into all the other scenes and I did a full pass to make the scenes more viable for Brawler and Scavenger, which is another kind of melee-centric modifier, just by adjusting enemies' positions just really slightly. And I think it went really well, and I think it made the game more fun for people who melee, and made it a bit more viable for those who like things like Scavenger. Yeah, kind of a behind the scenes thing that happened, but I was pretty happy with the work that I did there.
Oh, really cool. Really cool. So Heath, anything in particular you got that you're proud of with this one?
Yeah, my favorite thing is in one of the scenes in the mines, the little mining carts bring you extra ordnance to help you with the groups of bad guys. I just think that's cool as hell. It's cute, it's interesting, it's fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just love that.
Yeah, use a lot of those, especially in that boss fight. You get them thrown at you nonstop in there, and it is just the explosives. I went back and played the second campaign after I played Smoke and Thunder for the first time because Eric had played it. I did a whole lot, so I was kind of expecting the barrels in the second campaign. I'm like, no, they're not there. And in Smoke and Thunder, I'm just like, this is amazing. They're coming at you. They're exploding everywhere. You use them all the time. It's got to be by far one of my favorite parts of Smoke and Thunder.
Yeah,
Nick did it so weird because he was like, he's like, man, I love Smoke and Thunder so much. I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's I said it's either as good or better than 29. He's like, oh, I haven't played 29 yet. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I completely started backwards.
I said, you need to stop right now and go play 29 and come back and we'll talk. Because that was one of my favorites. So I was like, you're crazy. Because Nick was just doing some of the songs. You know what I mean? I'm like, Nick, you got to try the campaign. Like, I love the campaign. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah. 4 minutes feels good. 22 minutes feels even better, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You just got to keep playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I really liked the boss fight in 2029. Actually, one of my favorite moments was Ashley did a playtest of the boss fight, and it was just the absolute perfect playtest possible because she gets to the end of the scene where there's just like dozens of barrels coming at you, and she just like starts matrix dodging them all, and ends up like on the floor underneath the final barrel. She's got no health. She's got no health. She's gonna die if she gets hit by one of these barrels. There's 1 second left in the scene. She's on the floor. Barrel goes over the head. Survives.
Oh my God, I'm
It was amazing.
screaming because I've
That's
never seen
amazing.
it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, pro skills.
It was crazy because I remember playing
I sent it to
2089 for
Anthony
the
for science, and then Anthony sent it to the whole studio. It's
right.
funny.
He sent it for science also for the studio. It's for science. So yeah, I remember when I was first playing 2089, and you have that part where the final boss is firing at you, and they are coming like at you, and I was like, I was like on the floor at one point, like on my knees, trying to avoid these things. I'm like, this is insane. But yeah, I mean.
When they launch, just so y'all know, we go as a team on launch day and we sit in Discord and we just watch people stream and we watch people play.
Yeah.
And it is the best thing ever. So please do that when things come out.
That's got to be amazing.
Yeah.
That's got to be amazing. Awesome. What do you think? You guys want to give away a key?
Yeah, we can do that.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
so these guys were extremely generous, and they said we'd love to give a key to somebody in chat. So let's do that. You want to do that?
I'll give you the key into the private chat, and then however you want to do it will be your magic.
Well, no time zone questions, Eric.
No time zone questions. We'll do this. We'll ask a very simple question, and whoever answers the question first will win the key, and they can PM me afterwards, and I'll give them the key. So to win the key for PistolWhip, the second campaign that Cloudhead released is named what? What is the second campaign that was released by Cloudhead for PistolWhip?
Abraham Cloudhead was our first.
I love my chat. I love him, man. Oh, I love my
Abraham
chat.
Unger. That's a good one.
Abraham Unger. I love that one. Denny must be great to work with, guys, right? I mean...
Yes.
Yeah, Denny is like the wizard behind the curtain. So busy.
I love that.
Right? So busy. But yes, anytime that we talk to Denny, he is saying something incredibly kind and making me cry almost always. Like at the studio sync ups, like he's just so inspiring and yeah, incredible.
That's so cool.
Really a visionary for VR. And like again, like all the work we talked about at the beginning of the show, where him and that really small team, 2, 3, 4, 5 people were doing all this stuff at that time before anyone else was doing it. Yeah, really a VR visionary for sure.
Anthony and I talk about how cool Denny is and the stuff he's done, like one-on-one, not in front of Denny all the time, right? Like in ways that we would never want him to hear us talk about, like about how cool he is and just.
So it looks like Paul Fennessy was the winner. Paul Fennessy had the first answer for Smoke and Thunder. Thanks, Paul.
Okay,
I think even your dog's excited.
Crazy. I've had to mute my mic like 10 times. Of course, somebody came in and one of my puppies went nuts. That's what happens when you stream during the day. That's what happens. So thank you for doing that, guys. I'm sure you made Paul very happy. And
Absolutely.
Paul.
It's like one of the greatest things when you can give a key to somebody and just make their day, and something that we love to do here. But Paul,
just a great game.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, you're gonna have a ball with it now. We want to see a video, right? Well, guys, I'll send you his video.
Right?
Paul, send us a video of you playing either 2089 or Smoke and Thunder, since that was your answer. Send us a video, and I'll send it to you. But yeah, just
you also redeem it on the website. Make sure you do it on the website. Make sure it works.
Okay, yeah, I'll just PM me, Paul, and I'll tell you exactly how to do that with the key for that. Yeah. Guys, final thoughts. Is there anything each of you would like to say before we sign off?
Well, I'll say thank you. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much to the well, you've recently changed your name, but thank you so much to the Quest community on Facebook. You are 124,000 now and growing strong. It just feels like you're growing all the time. So thank you so much for all the support in the group. I am always around. I'm always reading what y'all are doing and what you're up to. And yeah, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Sure. Yeah, I mean, it was such a. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead, Heath. I'll finish up.
No worries. I just wanted to piggyback on what Ashley said and thank the community for their creativity and the suggestions that they give us, because we need to make the stuff that becomes this game, and a lot of the feedback we get comes from the community, and without great ideas, it just gives us an endless supply of great things to try out, and hopefully they make it into the game. So thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we thank you to you guys for coming and doing this. I mean, this is out of your middle of your day on a Friday to come and hang out with us and talk to the community, on Facebook and also on YouTube, and just give out some amazing information. And it's so nice to see the inside of these things and how these decisions are made. And it was one of our things early on that we wanted to do, was to bridge the gap between people that play these games and the developers who make them, to kind of bring them together, so it's not such a smoke and mirror thing, and you can kind of really get to see how these things are done and how much work is put into these things, and how much the people really love the game. So it was important for us early on to try and bridge that gap and bring them in. We didn't want to be just a normal Facebook group. We wanted to be something different, something special, and it's thanks to you guys that allow us to do that. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Doing great work. Thanks for having us. Much
Yeah,
appreciated.
anytime. So we'll say goodbye to you guys, and then me and Nick will stay on just to say goodbye. So Anthony, thank you very much for being here. You have a great day. Enjoy. We'll see you guys soon. Ashley, you are the best. We're going to talk to you soon,
Thank you so
because
much.
we love you. And
Of course, you know where to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a great weekend. We'll see you.
You as well. Thank you.
Heath, you're my man, my 2089 guy. I love you, man.
Yeah,
super,
great to be with you guys.
super job in the UI.
Appreciate y'all coming on.
You guys were extremely cool to talk to, and it's super, super interesting. You have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thank you.
Dude, another fantastic interview. What great people. I mean, forget about how great a company it is. When you get to talk to great, amazing people that are just awesome people, it makes these things special, right? It makes these interviews work.
It's more than we expected, I mean, to talk to these developers, to find out that the community is so influential in the development of their games. It's learning new things every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just another great thing. Thank you, Nick, for working so closely with Ashley to get this set up. Guys, Nick works extremely hard behind the scenes to, work, with a lot of the developers and community managers to make this stuff happen. And we appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We want to continue to do it more and more. So we have more stuff planned, and just hang out with us. We'll have special stuff. And if you could do us a favor, go to the YouTube page and like and subscribe. We're going to try and build the YouTube page up to be as big as the group. I don't know if we'll ever get 125,000 in the YouTube page, but that's a goal eventually. But thanks for being a part of the community and in both communities, and we appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Come see me tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to go live at 3:00. I'm going to do an unboxing of the Vive Flow, and we're going to do some Twisted Barrel. Twisted Barrel is a company that makes a flight stick, and they make another gun stock that I'm going to take a look at. We'll do an unboxing. We'll take a look at that. Maybe something from who am I thinking of? Oh, Bobo VR. I got something to show you guys.
You got too much stuff. You can't even keep up with.
I got too much stuff. Well, let's say goodbye. For Nick, I'm Eric. Thanks, guys, for being here. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
See ya.